Hey guys, Rushy here and welcome back to another video. For this month's video, I've decided to make an automotive theme video. I decided to give you guys a walk around and tour of my car. And here it is guys. Yes, I still own it. This is my first car. Now, long-term viewers of this channel will remember I done a reveal video of this car. Would you believe it's been 2 years now since I made that video, and I've owned this car for I think 2 years and 10 months, so not far short of 3 years now. So I decided to make another video about my car because I felt that I could improve on what I done in the reveal video. Firstly, in terms of camera quality, I filmed the reveal video using my mobile phone, but this time round I'm using a professional Canon camera, so the picture quality should be much better. Also, my car is a lot cleaner this time round, both on the exterior and on the interior. So this video isn't going to be a full in-depth review or road test, but instead an in-depth walk around and tour. I'm going to show you around the outside, under the bonnet, in the boot, and give you a detailed tour of the interior. So this is a French car. It's called the Clio and it's made by Renault, and this is a third generation model, and these were made between 2005 and 2014. And this particular car is a 2006 3-door extreme trim model finished in pearl black. Now let's show you under the bonnet or hood. Now, these cars could be fitted with a variety of engines, both petrol and diesel, both turbocharged and naturally aspirated. This particular car is fitted with the 1.2 litre non-turbo petrol engine. Now, this was the least powerful engine in the range, and even with this engine, the car is not dangerously slow. It's not fast, but it's nippy. It's best suited to town driving, but it can handle motorway speeds as well. And it's been quite reliable in my ownership. All the engine has ever needed is a basic service and a replacement starter motor, which is not bad considering this car's done 140,000 miles. Now let's take a look in the boot or trunk. Now this car does have quite a large boot space for a car of its size. The boot capacity is 288 litres, which was class leading in 2005. We use this car for the family shop and it can fit a whole week's worth of shopping in the boot with room to spare. This car did come with the option for a split folding rear seat as an optional extra, but unfortunately this car doesn't have it, being a low spec model. Now let's take a look at the interior. Now, the interior of this car is mostly original, but it's not concours, it's not in perfect condition, but I would say it is in presentable condition considering how much usage it's had. As you might have noticed, the mirror for the driver's sun visor has cracked, but it's still usable and it's a nice feature to have because a lot of cars only have a mirror on one sun visor instead of both. I have fitted a couple of things to the interior. First of all, a steering wheel cover, but also a dash cam, so please excuse that wire hanging down, that's coming from my dash cam. And I've also added an air freshener. The only other item that's not original in here is the aftermarket radio, which was fitted by a previous owner. The interior of this car is quite practical. There are a lot of handy storage spaces. For example, this cup holder is handy, and that storage space there very handy for my wallet, which I'm using it for right now. A couple of cup holders up front as well, and space for my phone. Moving on to the central control panel, you have your hazard warning lights and central locking button. The aftermarket radio, which has Bluetooth, USB, aux and CD compatibility. Originally this car would have just had a radio CD player unit. Above that is all the heating and ventilation controls. I really like the layout of these controls. This car doesn't have air conditioning, but it was an option, and climate control was also an option. Above that you have your central air vents, and at the top of the centre you have your information pod. Now moving towards the central driver's instrument binnacle. On the left hand side is the tachometer or rev counter. On the right hand side is your speedometer. I'm now going to try and turn the ignition on so you can see everything. And in the centre you have your multifunction trip computer along with all the car's warning lights. On this model the information pod displays the time and seatbelt warning. Higher spec cars displayed more information by here, and this is where the sat nav was housed on top spec cars. Now moving on to the controls. and on the right hand stalk is the wiper controls. Below that you have your fingertip radio controls, which unfortunately no longer work now the car's an aftermarket radio. Ahead of that you have your ignition key. Keyless entry and start was an option on these cars, but this one just has a standard key. In front of that there's a dashboard panel which houses the headlight adjustment and dashboard illumination, along with two blank switches which are the traction control and cruise control switches on higher spec cars. Now moving over to the left stalk, which houses all the light controls and indicators. On the side of the stalk is a button for automatic lights, but this car doesn't have that option. Below that is a blank switch, which is the parking sensor switch on higher spec cars. Below that is the fuse box, and to the right of that is the steering wheel adjustment. Now this car only has height adjustment, but higher spec cars came with steering wheel reach adjustment as well as height adjustment. Below that you have your three pedals from left to right: clutch pedal, brake pedal, accelerator pedal. This being a manual car, but there was also an automatic version available. Now moving back to the rear of the vehicle, and first of all I am impressed by how spacious it is back here, and you know, it is quite light and airy for a small car. I'm sat behind myself and I'm 5'10" tall, or 178 centimeters, and I can comfortably sit behind myself without any issues. There is a decent amount of both head and leg room, and there are some handy storage bins on the right hand side and the left hand side, and a nice comfortable armrest as well, along with a speaker on both sides. And yeah, it is very spacious overall back here. Now this car is a 5-seater, and I think you get away with sitting 3 adults back here in relative comfort, and 3 children could sit back here very comfortably. And this is a 3-door model, so you can imagine how much more spacious the 5-door models are. Now to move the seat forward is quite simple. You just push that lever up to the left of the seat there. The only criticism I have back here is that the rear windows don't open at all. They don't roll down, they don't pop out either. They're a nice size, but unfortunately they don't open, which I think is a shame. This being an extreme model, it is fitted with the Iris interior, which consists of blue and black patterned seat upholstery and a dark and light carbon coloured hard plastic dashboard and door trim, and no rear headrests on this model, although all cars do come with front and rear ISOFIX points for child seats. And that concludes this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this walk around and tour of my Renault Clio. I'll leave a link to my reveal video of this car in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I plan on making more automotive videos in the future, along with other types of content. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next month in my next video.